All right, today we are diving into one of S3's most powerful and, frankly, most important architectural features, replication. And look, this isn't just about making a backup copy of your files. This is about building systems that are truly resilient, compliant, and seriously performant. So picture this. It's the middle of the night, and an entire AWS region just goes dark. Your critical user data, your application's assets, all of it, gone. I mean, that's the scenario that literally keeps engineers awake at night. So the question is, how do you possibly protect your data from a total catastrophe like that? Well, the answer, thankfully, is S3 replication. You should really think of it as your digital insurance policy. It's this incredibly elegant built-in solution that is designed to automatically shield your data from that exact kind of disaster. So what is S3 replication really? Let's break down the big idea behind it because it's pretty straightforward once you get it. Simply put, it's a feature you turn on and it just starts automatically copying your objects from one S3 bucket, your source, to another one, the destination. And the key is that it's asynchronous, happening in the background. It's a completely managed, hands-off way to create and maintain perfect replicas of your most important data. But, not all replication is created equal. AWS actually gives you a whole toolkit with different options for different jobs. You have to choose the right tool for what you're trying to accomplish. So let's open up that kit and see what's inside. Okay, so you've basically got three key types. First, there's cross-region replication, or CRR. This is your go-to for disaster recovery, right? You're sending data to a totally different geographic region for maximum safety. Then you have same-region replication, or SRR. This is perfect for tasks inside a single region, like maybe gathering logs from a bunch of different buckets into one central place. And finally, there's batch replication. Think of this as your special tool for a very specific one-time job, copying all the data that already exists in a bucket. So why would you even use these tools? Well, the reasons are pretty strategic. Disaster recovery is the big, obvious one, but it's also absolutely critical for compliance, making sure data lives in specific countries to meet regulations. You can also seriously reduce latency for your users by putting copies of data closer to them. And you can even boost your security by replicating data to a completely separate AWS account, which isolates your backup from your main one. Now, I know this might all sound a little complex, but getting a basic setup running is surprisingly easy. So let's just walk through the happy path. You can honestly get this started in just a few minutes. It's really just a couple of steps. First, and listen up, this part is absolutely non-negotiable. You must enable versioning on both your source and destination buckets. It won't work without it. Second, you create a simple IAM role. This just gives S3 permission to read from one bucket and write to the other. Third, you set up the actual replication rule on the source bucket, where you define what to copy and where it's all going to go. And finally, if you're dealing with mission-critical stuff, you can optionally turn on replication time control, or RTC, which gives you a predictable performance SLA. Okay, so that covers the basics. Now let's get into the pro-level details. And I want you to pay close attention here, because these are the critical nuances that can really make or break your entire replication strategy. These are the things that trip people up all the time. And here it is, the number one point of confusion with S3 replication. A standard rule only applies to new objects, things you upload after you create the rule. Any data that was already sitting in your bucket before you flip the switch, it will not be replicated automatically. It just stays there. To get all that old data copied over, you have to run a one-time S3 batch replication job to backfill everything. All right, ready for the next gotcha? Let's say you delete a file in your source bucket. That deletion should copy over to your backup bucket, right? I mean, it seems logical. But S3's behavior here is very, very specific, and it's actually designed to protect you from yourself. By default, S3 does not replicate deletions. This is an incredible safety feature. A simple delete doesn't actually erase the file. It just puts something called a delete marker on top of it. S3 won't copy that marker, which means the actual file stays safe and sound in your backup. And even better, if you permanently delete a specific version of a file, S3 will never replicate that action. It's a firewall against an irreversible mistake destroying your only replica. This brings us to a really key security feature, especially for cross-account deprecation. It's called ownership overwrite. When you enable this, the destination account takes full, complete ownership of the replicated files. This means the original source account no longer has any permission to delete those copies. It's a powerful layer of protection against accidental deletion or even something malicious like ransomware.
So, you've set it all up, you understand all the little nuances. But how do you actually know it's working? Let's talk about monitoring and control.
For total predictability, S3 offers something called Replication Time Control, or RTC. Now, when you turn on this premium feature, AWS gives you a service level agreement, an SLA, guaranteeing that 99.99% of your objects will be replicated within 15 minutes. This gives you a concrete timeline that you can actually build your recovery plans around. Now, on a file-by-file basis, you can check the status directly. Each object gets a replication status tag. You'll see it as pending while it's in transit, completed when it's safely copied over, or failed if something went wrong. And pro tip, if you see a failed status, it's almost always your cue to go check your permissions. Either the IAM role can't write to the destination, or it doesn't have access to the KMS encryption key it needs. And that really leaves us with this one final thought. You've successfully copied your data across regions or accounts. It's protected from an outage, which is great. But to be truly secure, you have to think about ownership. Is your backup truly isolated and safe? Mastering features like ownership overwrite is what separates a simple copy from a truly resilient and secure architecture.